Escape from Tarkov. To buy or not to buy?
Oh my god, dude.
When putting my thoughts together for this video, I realized quickly that Escape from Tarkov, or EFT, was going to be a hard sell. For most gamers, dying in game is not a big deal because you don't lose much other than maybe a few experience points or just gold coins. And to put it bluntly, if you are one of those sheltered players, then EFT will hit you in the face hard. As to whether or not you purchase this game depends on how you answer this question. Are you okay with losing all of your gear, weapons, and items in a split second from a headshot from a single bullet fired from a cheap pistol shot by a player that has only been playing the game for 5 minutes? No? Then go play something more mellow, because this game will bring out the rage if that's the kind of thing that bothers you. If, on the other hand, you're a player that enjoys challenging strategic gameplay and realizes that life is not all about hoarding loot, rather it's about enjoying what you have while you have it, then you'll enjoy this game. I'll admit, when I first saw other content creators playing this game over a year ago, I wasn't impressed. It seemed too unbalanced, grindy, and not worth my time.
I'm just gonna lose all of my shit and have to buy something, I know it. This game is ass.
However, a friend of mine convinced me to give it a try, and I'm glad he did. The game has been pretty fun and hard to put down. Escape from Tarkov is a unique game with a high learning curve and zero handholding, so let me explain the premise. Basically, there is some kind of catastrophe that occurs and everyone left alive is fighting for survival. The game has a straightforward formula: spawn into the map of your choice, kill everything that moves, loot all of their best gear,
You loot that guy, I'll loot this guy.
and then evacuate without getting killed yourself. This is made more challenging by random spawns and random extraction locations. Some maps, like Interchange, which is a giant mega mall, only have 2 extractions, while others like Customs, which is part train yard, part industrial complex, have a bunch. The high variance between maps requires that you intimately learn each of the maps and where all of these places are actually located, because the game won't tell you. There's no in-game map, no radar. Friendly fire is turned on and you can't tell who your teammates are without communicating.
By the trailers or the
I see someone, I see someone.
That's probably me. Oh shit!
Is that you? You can purchase physical in-game maps, but they are only slightly helpful. There is also a timer in which you need to extract prior to its expiration, and some survival elements such as hydration. If you manage to survive and extract, then you can stash all of your new gear in your permanent storage or just sell it all off. To summarize, spawn in, kill and loot, and then run away with all of your new items, or die and lose it all. You'll have the option to play as 2 types of characters, a SCAF and a PMC. The PMC is your traditional professional soldier and is also your main character. At the beginning of the game, you'll have the chance to pick between a Western or Eastern soldier. Really, the only impact this has on your game is the language which your character speaks, English or Russian respectively. The only in-game voice communication with other players is through predetermined expressions or emotes, which are less than effective and mostly just humorous. SCAVs are just a ragtag mix of civilians and soldiers that scavenge the maps for loot. When you play as a SCAV, you spawn in with a random set of gear and at a random time on the map. After you use a SCAV, whether you live or die, there's a 10-minute cooldown before you can use another one. Each time you play as a SCAV, your equipment loadout will be random. As your main character, or PMC, you can play as often as you'd like, regardless of how fast you die or long you live. Your main character will gain experience points, whereas your SCAV will not. Your experience points increase things like stamina and strength. So why would you want to play as a SCAV? As I mentioned in my opening statement, when you die, you lose everything on your character, unless you have insurance. And if this happens a lot, you'll literally have nothing in your storage. Literally. You might not have anything left in your storage other than just a knife. If you find yourself in this situation, you can play as a SCAV, which, remember, you spawn with random gear, and you'll have the chance to loot more gear during the match and then evacuate with it, which can all be used to replenish your main character's storage. Another advantage of using a SCAV is to be able to play without fear of losing anything. It gives you a chance to kick back and be more aggressive or try a new playstyle. If you want to explore a map without fear of other players or NPCs, then you can also play in offline mode. You can't keep anything you loot here, but it's a cool option that allows you to learn key spawn locations, exfil locations, and just learn the map in more detail. When you play as your main character, you will have the option to insure any of your items, but this isn't as simple as it sounds. If you insure a weapon and die, you will get it back as long as no one else takes it, which, if it's a good gun, chances are some scav will swipe it up. Also, it can take several days, like real life days, before you get it back. So, in keeping with the hardcore spirit of EFT, insurance is like a safety net, but one that is made out of a thin ribbon. The developers for this game are committed to their product and frequently engage with the community. They will tweak things like weapon mechanics, spawn and loot locations, and introduce new item functionality. As of the posting of this video, there are only a handful of maps available, but when you look at the world map, you can see that many more are in the works. While you will get a sense of repetitiveness from playing the same handful of maps over and over, the game still manages to feel refreshing and fun. Each map is unique enough to distinguish itself from the others. Carefully crafted environments and calculated details come together to form atmospheres that do not feel cookie cutter in the slightest. For example, the labs is dimly lit, combines narrow hallways with large open spaces, and feature AI scavs called raiders that pose a real threat. Curious? No way. The woods is an open air environment scattered with small clusters of buildings and is punctuated by strategic rock outcroppings and dense forests. Yeah, sounds like it's by the trail.
Oh, right here, behind us.
The factory is dark, grimy, and small, but also very vertical, and you are guaranteed to run into somebody unexpectedly. Every time you select a map, you will have the choice of 2 different times, separated by 12 hours in which to spawn. This is important because nighttime in EFT is no joke. If you don't have a flashlight or night vision, you will literally be left in the dark. Each map also has special areas that contain high value gear and loot, but are locked and require special keys to access them. Some keys are easier to find, while others are extremely rare and literally sell for millions of rubles on the flea market. The flea market is one way for players to sell and buy gear. It's a complete player-driven economy in which you can follow market trends to buy low and sell high, or barter if you're looking for specific items rather than cash. You can also buy and sell through a set of NPC vendors, with each vendor offering and buying particular types of items. In addition to buying and selling, vendors serve another purpose: quests. Each vendor has their own quest line and reputation. Completing a quest gives you a reward, but it also increases your reputation level with that vendor. Obtaining a new level will unlock new items to buy. Gun customization in EFT is one of the most in-depth features I've ever seen in a game. Whereas most games allow you to mount different scopes and sights or add silencers, in EFT, literally every part of a gun can be customized. With so many options and no tutorial, it's completely understandable that a new player will be overwhelmed. But the great thing is that EFT doesn't force you to go hardcore into gun customization. You'll be completely fine if you choose just to use things stock or the way you find them. A bullet is a bullet after all. Well, kind of. In EFT, there are dozens and dozens of different bullet types, including hollow points, tracers, armor penetration, and steel cores, to name a few. For example, let's take a look at the 9mm. And these aren't the only 9mm. These are just the ones that are used by the PM, PB, APS, and APB pistols, as well as the PP91, the -91-01, and the -9 SMGs. The best bullet type to use is 100% situational. You may want to aim at someone's legs if they have body armor, or use a slow velocity bullet if someone is wearing no armor. In addition to the type of armor or lack of that your target is wearing, the body part you aim for is critical for other reasons. Each limb can become critically wounded, i.e. beyond repair. If your legs get knocked out, then you can't sprint and you'll limp. If your arms get KO'd, you'll have trouble aiming and you won't be able to throw grenades with any degree of accuracy. Limbs can also be fractured, which causes pain if you put too much impact on them, and you can have blood loss as well. Painkillers can lessen the negative effects, but you may have tremors or withdrawal-like symptoms after they wear off. So to wrap it up, one of the greatest things about EFT is that it doesn't force you to do anything at all other than evacuate within a certain amount of time. You don't have to complete quests, you don't have to buy and sell gear, you don't have to customize your weapons, you don't even have to worry about leveling up your character, you don't ever have to use a SCAF or your PMC, you don't have to collect keys, and that's because there is no endgame. A beautiful thing that may scare some players away. Your experience is literally what you make it. So if you need a game to funnel you down a linear hole of quests and directional markers, then you will probably feel lost in this game, and that's fine. But I recommend taking a step outside of your comfort zone to experience the pain and sadness of losing your gear, but also to experience the rush of outplaying someone that is better geared than you. In the end, you may still decide that this game is not for you, or you may unlock a new side of yourself that you never knew existed. Kill, loot, die, lose everything. That is the Tarkov way.
Шлюха, блядь!